nobody has bothered digitizing or analyzing anything. And so it's not that just everything is abandoned and free. It's that nobody knows what the hell is actually going on. Kind of like being at a tsunami hit supermarket. Is there a lot of food there? Yes. Do I have any idea how to find it? No.
We have a mutual friend, Monica.
Yeah.
She introduced us to each other. And first of all, can you let me know a little bit about yourself? Because I saw your LinkedIn profile, and it looks like you're doing a few things like at the same time.
It tends to look like that.
Yeah, and your background also, like you have a bachelor's, I think that's Bachelor of Arts from Hobart and William Smith colleges, and then you kind of went into another direction and you studied economics of blockchain.
Yeah, that was over at the Wharton School, and so that's got a lot to do with kind of my IT background. And then I've also got.
So please let us know. Share with us all that you can.
Honestly, it really all comes down to like rock, heavy metal, and data. Actually, so
did you say heavy metal?
Yeah,
like the music.
Yeah, I'm a guitarist. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I really love metal, so.
Oh well, we've got a lot to talk about then.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I've been in that for a while. I'm currently playing in a band called Worship Pain. Previously, I was in Wretch, and then prior to that, I was in Dark Corpse. Prior to that, I was in a band called Crack and Strike, and actually also I was in a band called Buckshin over in Seattle, Washington, for a little bit. So yeah, I'm a guitarist. I do booking.
Please let me know before we move into another subject. Please let me know when you're playing so I can attend. Because
totally.
I would really love to attend one of your shows.
I believe it's next month on the 13th out in Koiwa at a place called Bush Bash. I'll send you details.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it's a longer story, but kind of for our purposes today anyway, I would say it's appropriate to begin the story at probably around 2012 or 2013. When I first moved to Tokyo, the longer part of this story is that I used to live on the coast of Iwate in a city called Miyako. And then when the 2011 tsunami came in, that like the major city, or it's not a major city, but like the major video of that wave that kind of circuit, like that's quite literally where I lived. And so I was homeless for 6 or so weeks. We can dive into this as well if you want, but again, background thing. And so that's how I moved to Tokyo, is by basically being evacuated out of a disaster zone. And so yeah, playing heavy metal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
After I moved here, just jumping into it, whatever. And
hold on. So were you playing before that, or just like going through this disaster made you kind of get into metal?
No, that's a good question. Actually, I think there is a good deal of like catharsis, I think, after trauma and all that stuff, and loud sounds and frenetic energy and sweat and all of that stuff. It's helpful. No, I've been playing in bands since like 2004 or something like that. Mostly like hardcore punk, and then later I got more into black metal specifically. And black metal, death metal, all the really like very abrasive stuff. Is what
black metal. It's too heavy for me though. Like
yeah. Honestly, I got into doom first, and it's still probably like my first love. But yeah, kind of, because you're supposed to go like hardcore punk to thrash metal to heavy metal, and there's like a accepted sort of route that most people take. I didn't do that at all. Of that. Yeah.
I mean, honestly speaking, and I don't know, like this is for true metal fans, like this might be a little bit an iffy subject, but I'm really into nu metal. This is what I grew up on. I love it.
It's an iffy subject, but it's really interesting. Like it's definitely not
Yeah,
my. I mean, I don't know.
not your
I
cup of
haven't,
tea, probably.
but like there's some bands that I'm starting to think like, oh, is that what I am interested in right now? So, but I mean, that's the beauty of art, and especially like metal too. It tends to be rather what boundary pushing or weird, for lack of a
Mm.
better word. And so you get a really wide spread of sounds and styles and personalities and geography and all. Like I would argue, and actually, let's bring it a little bit back to the music and the real estate stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, I moved here after the tsunami, and relatively soon after that, started playing in bands, and soon after that, I started booking. Right, so like curating concerts and actually managing them. And then that was about 2013, maybe like 2012, probably 2013. And at that time, I mean, it's underground music no matter what. The infrastructure is not very good. And it was way worse then than it is now. But basically, the problem was that especially as an relatively unknown booker, you haven't yet proven yourself, but you can't prove yourself unless you've already proven yourself. Kind of like ridiculousness.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah, catch 22
yeah,
kind of thing.
very much so. So it was the situation that more or less like if you were asking bands if they wanted to play, then you already need to have a venue booked, but the venue wanted to know what bands that you were
Are gonna
bringing.
be playing.
And so it's just like, how do I do this? And there's a lot of phone calls,
By the way,
and
why did you start doing that? Like, because
doing
like bookings and basically
well, we wanted to
event
play.
organizing for
Yeah, we
this.
wanted to play more. I mean, I've thrown house parties and stuff for most of my life, and so just like having parties. I mean, I've got this meat fest thing coming up this coming Wednesday, which is just another like, oh, I've got a bunch of wild game meat that I found,
Do you know
and
Victor?
yeah, Vector from University of Tokyo. I believe he's a
He,
researcher at Tokyo now. He's over at Minokai
I
too, right?
Mercury, yes. So now
Yeah.
you work for
Oh,
so
yeah. I
okay
totally
that
know Vector.
because yeah, of course, you when you said metal, death metal, like and stuff like that, and playing, I was
Oh
like
yeah.
Vector. Immediately thought of him.
Can I tell you a great story of me and Vector?
Yes, obviously.
So it was like right before coronavirus, and this is really excellent. Um, they come from extreme metal, but they're very much like a synth wave, like DJ basically called Perturbator.
I don't know what that last thing
Okay,
was.
they're French, Perturbator, or I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, they're just
Hmm.
really good, like 1980s, like synth horror sort of sounding, but very dancey. And so, but
Okay.
I've seen their concerts both in the U.S. as well as in Japan, and it always draws this really bizarre crowd of really serious like EDM folks,
Hmm.
and then really serious metalheads who have very different ideas of how like the
How
audience is
music
supposed to
should
well,
interact. Yeah.
specifically like how the audience and what dancing even means and
Yeah.
stuff. And so like for me, for those of you who aren't familiar with different types of mosh pits, my favorite kind of circle pit, which basically just means run fast and go left in a circle with everybody. Um,
Mosh
you can be,
pits. Okay.
yeah. So like you can be in that if you want. That's your thing. Just not that's cool. But there's also like you can stand on the side and kind of push people along and push them through and like
Hmm.
stir the pot kind of thing. And there was totally this pit going on at Perturbator, but
Oh.
it was with like the electronic folks who aren't necessarily familiar with like the etiquette of how like metal pits work, which is include somebody on the side like pushing you back in and all of this
Oh,
stuff.
right, right, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm there pushing people back in, and this one guy just finally came up to me and he was like, dude, what are you doing? I'm trying to dance with my girlfriend here. And I'm like, man, you're in the pit. What are you like, what are you talking about?
What are you dancing with your girlfriend in the pit?
Yeah, yeah. And that was with Vector, so that's a
Oh,
that's a really strong memory I have of hanging out with him.
funny man.
That's
That's a
funny.
funny story.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so
like
let's get to the
can
data thing though. Can I
yes.
just finish the
So
music part?
yes, yeah.
So
Mm.
with booking and stuff, it's really hard, and nothing's organized and very little is digitized. And so it's when you had to call everybody to figure out if they would play, you literally like couldn't even look them up. So you'd have to find somebody who had the phone number or be friends with it, or it was just immensely complicated and bad. And so I just started databasing all of that in order to have like my own personal, basically like not Rolodex, but okay, here's the bands, here's their contact information, here's their website, here's their Twitter, handle, here's all this stuff, and then same thing for the venue, and let's concatenate those and put them together so that I can tell on Friday the 21st these bands aren't booked and that venue's open, just put them together and go, sort of thing, right?
Makes
And
sense.
so, yeah, and so that worked out pretty well. And then around 2016 is when these Akia, like the real estate, like abandoned real estate stories started coming out. And I've spent years analyzing underground extreme metal in Japan data. So like, I like getting my hands on some weird
Yeah.
subculture stuff. And so I saw the Akia things. I was like, I've just dealt with this problem of basically like nobody has bothered digitizing or analyzing anything. And so it's not that just everything is abandoned and free, it's that nobody knows what the hell is actually going on. And so if you bother figuring out, a methodology for there's a number of different things that you have to do, but there's sourcing data, there's cleaning data, there's analyzing data, there's all of these things that you have to do in order to actually understand what the marketplace looks like and what the opportunities exist or don't exist in that case.
Mhm.
And so that's how I ultimately got into some of the real estate stuff that I do, and I do a lot of like digital consulting, like digital infrastructure advisory and things. But yeah, that's kind of
Digital
a long
digital
intro.
infrastructure advising, like what is that actually? What does that
That
mean?
can be payment solutions, that can be web design and web development, that can be, anything that e-commerce is one that a lot of companies are really poor and bad, honestly speaking, and handling. I'd say one of the biggest ones is DNS, like security protocols, but
Hmm.
they're super easy to implement. And in fact, last year in November, no, I think it was September of 2025, that what are they called? Solmu, the Ministry of Communications, I think is the translation, actually like issued, it's Japan, so like they can't really force you to do anything, but they issued a request, I believe is how the translation is, for implementing specifically Japanese municipal governments
Hmm.
implementing these DNS security protocols. Some of them have. There's others. Maybe I shouldn't say specific names right now, but yeah. So like that stuff is just completely up
Yeah,
in the air.
we don't
And
want to be
honestly,
called for defamation, please. Yeah,
yeah, right.
not now.
But yeah, and so a lot of the fixes are pretty easy, but Japan has really very much failed to digitize. It's not like it's like, oh, they're trying really hard, and it's just, I can see it. If you just audit basically any company, it is very likely that you will surface these very simple fixes that, if they are problems, that to me signals like a pretty serious red flag with regards to like trustability, accountability, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I help companies actually like fix that issue because it's a pretty major one.
I see. Uh, how did you learn about all of this? You said like you have a background in IT.
All right, that goes
'Cause-
back to music. And in 2015 is when I first started experimenting with like cryptocurrency. And the specific reason for that was at the time it was completely unregulated in Japan.
Mhm.
And also at the same time, it's gotten less strict recently, so that's good.
Mhm.
But for international artists, international musicians coming into Japan,
Mhm.
they were required, basically, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a pretty ridiculous amount of money that you needed to, like, if they look at your business plan, you needed to be able to say, honestly, I think it was something on the order of like $50,000 US per performance that you're expecting to make in order to receive the performer's visa that you needed in order to perform in Japan.
Really?
Yes, it was some. I might be fuzzy on those numbers, but it was pretty like draconian and just. There was another, if I remember correctly, there was also something too about like you needed 2 years of like Japanese cultural education, but they didn't really define like what does that mean, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so, as somebody who deals with like super under, like, are you kidding me? None of these bands make profits, much less $50,000 per performance. So
Yeah.
how could they if they want to perform in Japan but they can't meet these requirements for the visa,
Hmm.
then, which is technically speaking a business visa, right? Which basically just means, oh, you're receiving payment for
Yeah.
services, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my interest, I never actually did anything with it, mostly because nobody understood what the hell I was talking about. But my curiosity was, well, hold up. If like bands are just getting paid in digital currency, which is not regulated by like the Japanese government, then does that necessitate this performance visa that they're never going to get anyway? And so, like, was that a workaround? Basically, is what I was curious about. Never found out because nobody understood what I meant by like, oh, dude, you want to get paid in Bitcoin to go play some metal in Japan?
Okay.
That didn't translate very well to anybody. But because I started playing around with Bitcoin specifically at that time, I ended up working actually in Seattle with a cryptocurrency development, or yeah, I guess development company. And through that, I ended up going to the Wharton School to kind of study the economics of, well, the economics at the time. I think that was 2021.
So 2022 here says 2020, January
Okay.
2022 to March 2022.
Yeah, it's just like a
Uh,
certificate. It's not
I
like I
see.
spent 4 years studying crypto at the Wharton School.
But basically you took this kind of certificate after already working with crypto basically
Yeah,
and
for about
trying to use it as
seven,
a payment for these bands.
well, suggesting that, but nobody ever bought like into it,
Really?
so it didn't.
Didn't
No, it's, I
really.
mean, and crypto is still just extreme. Like, yeah, I'm super. What's the down term? Bearish, whatever. Like, it's such a shit
It's
show right now.
bullish and bearish, right?
Yeah,
Bull if you're buying and bear if
yeah,
you're,
right. Like
yeah.
the crypto. I'm not. I mean, for me, I've always gotten value out of it, not like financially, but
Hmm.
because of such a strange ecosystem with some
Yeah.
really weird problems that definitely don't occur in like everyday life. If you're able to understand what these, Bitcoin or Ethereum or, whatever network it is that you're working on and whatever problem it is that they're like, usually it's pretty theoretical,
Hmm.
if not also experimental. But if you're able to wrap your head around these really bizarre concepts and finally kind of understand, like, oh, wait, that's what you meant by, I don't know, wrapped ETH or whatever, like, that's just a good analytical tool for
Hmm.
anybody to have. You can reapply that to, I mean, pretty much any kind of situation.
Um, I'm trying to wrap my head around what do you do, man? Like you do a lot of things apparently.
Yeah, it's
Uh
honestly, it boils down to like advisory and data governance, right?
okay.
If you have any marketplace, any ecosystem, any, group of things that can constitute some kind of product, but you
Hmm.
don't manage it well, then you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to effectively leverage it. And if you want to do that, which means basically less work and more money, get me on it. I'll do that for you. Right. That could be
Perfect.
music. That could be real estate. That could be, you know, uh, construction. That could be really kind of
Who are your main clients? Like let's say, like without mentioning names, just kind of
anything.
businesses that you work with.
Yeah, right now I go for a lot of like small like SMEs, mostly foreign operated SMEs in operating in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That's across the gamut from like coaching services, that's construction, that's professional networks, that's uh, what education. Honestly, I've got some projects on like wild game meat as well. Um, What else? Oh, camping. Camping's a big one.
Camping.
Yep, camping. Right. So if you've got a family of four and like your eldest is 6 years old and your youngest is two, and you want to have a hospital within like 2 miles of the campground, and it's also got to be at least maximum like an hour outside of Tokyo, but there's also got to be like a heated bathing unit as well as the glamping options. How do you go find that?
No idea.
You can't. You have no idea how to. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who really want that product. And at the moment, there is no service that allows you to say, all right, I need this, 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 this. Where is it? Go find it. Right. Because not only is the search algorithm for Google not particularly up to the task for this, more importantly, most of these campgrounds or businesses anyway, don't properly manage anything, like be it their Google business listing, be it their own website, be it those DNS protocols that I was talking about, be it their social media, all of these things. It
Mhm.
might be the case that there's a campsite that
Mm.
fits all of these requirements that you have, but they've done a terrible job of actually, exposing themselves to the public, right? So they can't find that. On the
Mhm.
flip side as well, there's also campsites that do a really good job of kind of what advertising basically, but don't
Mhm.
necessarily actually have the thing that they're advertising, right? And so there's a very fuzzy. It's not granular at all. It's really difficult to determine, if I want X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
where do I go? There's a lot of trial and error that's super frustrating. So a lot of people, especially families, are the ones that I've spoken with quite a bit. They want to take their kids camping, but there's like one place that they're aware of, and it's not very good.
Mhm. Uh, okay, maybe I'm starting to get what you're saying.
All right,
Maybe.
cool.
Maybe. No, seriously, because I like it's obviously very like I took a look at your LinkedIn, and it's very interesting that you're actually involved with many different things. And unfortunately, so my background is dentistry,
Right.
and very different from things that I'm used to. Things that I know are very different from here. So it was very interesting to see, and the types of skills
Yeah.
and the projects that you're involved with.
Mm-hmm.
But in this podcast, basically what I try to concentrate on is to look behind the scenes. So now you explain to us like what is it that you do. So now I'd like to ask you questions about, like, for example, what do people usually get wrong about your job? What do they
kind,
think? And then they're like, no, that's not what I do. you know,
kind of the question is that you've sort of just answered that question.
right? Like I was like you saw, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what is it that you
Yeah.
do,
And
right?
so again, it's business intelligence. It's
Mm-hmm.
understanding the lay of the land so that you can better do what you're already trying to do. Right? There's a lot of stumbling blocks, right?
I
And it
see.
might be simple things. And again, it might be simple things like email. Like for example, I was speaking with
Mm-hmm.
somebody earlier who they've got a problem with, like their emails or delivery of email is unreliable. They don't know why. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge problem if most of your business communications are conducted through email, right?
Yes.
You don't want that.
Yes. You don't want
That's
that.
really that's really
That's a
bad.
recipe for disaster, basically.
Right. And so I took a look at just their domain, their DNS, right? Domain name settings, or I'm sorry,
Mm.
service and the settings of that. And lo and behold, is a complete lack of these three security protocols that I was mentioning previously. And because of that, Google, Yahoo, all of them flag an absence of those as pretty, maybe not egregious, that's overly strong, but it's easily spammed and it's easily spoofable. And because I think it was late 2024 is when Google, Yahoo, all these major email providers and, just like basically the people who own the internet made
Mm.
these protocols and said, hey, we need you to implement these so that we can guarantee that nobody's pretending to be you, sort of thing. And if you don't do it, we're going to direct that email to spam instead because we can't prove exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you don't use these protocols, sometimes your email goes to spam. That's it. It's
I see.
simple, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh, now that I think me and people listening or
Mm,
watching are starting to understand what you're doing,
yeah.
I would like to know a little bit about like how you told me like like music basically took you into this career,
Yeah.
but what did you like when you went to college, for example? where did you think your career was going? And was there a
Ooh,
moment like when you were like, no, this is not it, and then you kind of shifted, and now you are in the path that you're in right now?
that's a
Was
really good question.
was
Um,
it something like that, or it wasn't basically?
no, I mean, come on, I studied philosophy. Like, like that's not a career.
I honestly look. I actually I'm glad that I'm interviewing you because I don't know anybody who studied these kind of majors, like
Okay.
to study philosophy.
Hmm.
What's the thought behind you studying philosophy, for example, just for the love of it?
Hmm.
And if that was the case, didn't you think that okay, after I finish this, I'm gonna need to work and to find
Oh no.
yeah, I'm gonna have to make some money, and I don't know if philosophy is gonna make me that money.
Nope. That or I don't know. I probably just assumed like I don't know something will happen, but this is cool. I think that's it.
Nice.
Well, I mean now it's critical thinking and like, but it's not honestly it's not a practical pursuit at all. I've because I would argue that because of it, because of studying what philosophy and then physics,
Hmm.
um, and then well, yeah, it's complicated. uh, because of that, in the short term, I mean, basically, what am I going to do except teach English in Japan? Like, I've got a philosophy degree. Like, hire me, you know.
Yeah.
So short term, I mean, I want to say I'm happy I did, but again, from like a strictly just like career perspective, don't study philosophy. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. It's really bad.
Really.
Like it's
I
arguably
mean,
like the
I
worst
mean, you
thing
can
that you can
study it
study.
for the love of it, but don't expect to get hired, in I don't know, like a
Yeah,
CEO of a company because of majoring in
yeah,
philosophy, I guess.
yeah. And so yeah, I did that, and then so it kind of like it necessarily puts you in really challenging situations because you don't have any practical skill. And
I
then you
see.
have to philosophize your way out
I mean,
of that
interestingly
situation.
though, like it's true also if you I don't know went to one of these practical, yeah, I don't know, specialities like
Mm.
engineering or whatever. Like everyone in the beginning kind of loses their way and then kind of somehow pivots to what they want to do, right?
Yeah,
Except if when you go for philosophy movies, you're just putting yourself in a little bit of a more difficult path, I guess.
very. Yeah, arguably. I mean, there's no practical application of philosophy. Like
Didn't you think about this when you were there, when you were saying, how many years was it?
four. I mean, yeah, I just graduated in 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah,
And
and
during the 4 years, were you ever considering like career options, like what are you gonna do later, or you were just
I mean,
enjoying
at that point, I think I
the
was just
path?
like, all right, I guess I'm on that path, and the English thing seems all right. That's a good question. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Okay, what was the
I
point
think you're
when you
looking
were
for a
like,
good answer to this
no,
question,
no,
but the fact is
no,
there
no.
isn't
It's
one.
it's not a good. It's not. There is no good or bad. It's actually. It's just I really want to know your
Mm,
experience. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the, that's the whole thing, because you obviously went into this study into this field, right? And
yeah,
then you found that this is not working. I better be doing something else, right?
yeah.
What was the
Well, I
point?
mean,
What was the point that kind of made you kind of switch
for philosophy,
from philosophy? Like,
oh, I didn't have any other choices.
dear God, man.
I mean, I
so
did the
so you
philosophy.
graduated. Then what happened?
Then I moved to Japan
And
pretty quickly.
you
Yeah,
immediately
so
came to Japan.
it was like within a year. Let's see,
Oh,
I moved here. Yeah, it was within a year. I moved here in 2000. what was it, August 2009, and I graduated. Yeah, it was almost exactly a year.
Mm-hmm.
And like the application process was slow then, as I'm sure it is now. Moved here, and then like a year later, that tsunami came and just totally homeless me. So then I moved to Tokyo and started
Dear
playing
God,
heavy
so
metal.
that was what? Hold on. So you moved here within a year the tsunami hit.
So I moved to Miyako. If I remember correctly, I arrived in Miyako. It was late at, I want to say it was like 9 p.m. on November 14th, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And then on what, March 11th, 2011 is when the tsunami, the earthquake and tsunami happened. So
Mm.
however long, that's a little less than a year and a half, really,
Mm.
is what that is.
And then you basically started, you know, the.
Yeah. And so like I got here my first real job. Well, take that back. My first Tokyo job
Okay.
um, was there was an art gallery that was doing like basically
Mm.
raising money, charity fundraisers. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
For that, and I think I just found them on Craigslist or something. But I was like, oh hey, like I literally just got out there by the skin of my teeth, and know a lot of people out there that still need help, and I'm kind of in Tokyo in order to figure out how to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
you need a gallery manager.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am, and they ended up hiring me, and kind of from there is really when my career actually began. I think prior to that, yeah, I don't know, dude. Like
I mean,
you skate through life with you study philosophy because you just don't know what the meaning of life is, and then you have a tsunami just totally kill everybody around you, and then you're like, oh shit, I got to do something real, and then it kind of kickstarts everything.
I honestly, I don't even. I can't even imagine to go through something like that. To be honest, this is why
No,
it must be life changing.
oh for sure. I mean that like teaches. Yeah, I mean, I was just speaking about it 2 weeks ago, something like that. Um, like, yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I mean, what it's a huge disaster that makes you homeless and kills thousands of people around you, and you go look for bodies and stuff. And I mean, what the other night I was talking about that day.
Mm.
A lot of stuff happened, but we ran up this hill, and then we were at the Buddhist temple, and then we were looking down because we got hit the highest. I mean, look it up on Wikipedia right now. Look up Miyako and Iwate and
Mm-hmm.
see how tall the wave was. If I remember correctly, in Tado, it got to be like 39 meters.
39
But
meters.
yep, look it up on Wikipedia though to make sure that I'm not
I
misquoting
mean,
that.
I can check that out later, but
That's
like
yeah.
that's scary already. To be
Oh
honest.
yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like you see the seriously, like you're kind of like witnessing the unknown. Like nobody, like a 39-meter tall wave. What?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
doesn't make
Like
any
that is
sense.
that's
That
like
doesn't exist.
that's a whole building. Like that's.
Yeah, that's not real.
Right.
But yeah, like that day, I want to say it was probably like 5 p.m. Yeah, it was so bizarre. So I've got practice. This was my speech the other day. I was talking about this. We were up on top of the hill, just barely ran up it, and the waves coming and all that stuff, and then kind of recedes,
Mm-hmm.
and there's sirens and people screaming and yelling. It's just chaos everywhere. But we're kind of on top of this. We are on top of this hill, the large hill. Zen Ninji is the name of the temple that we were at. Just like looking down, really just sort of like, oh my god, what just happened? There's this guy down there who was just in his underwear and his socks, swimming around, probably 50 or so, 55 maybe, and just crying and screaming for his mother. And so we had to, I mean, it wasn't a road but we kind of like made our way down the hill, and then there was this roof that floated by. It was red, and we got up on the roof and got just like, I keep calling it a telephone pole, but that probably isn't what it was. Anyway, some like big stick. I just fished the guy out of the water. He's at that point he had basically just like passed out in shock, but it's still just fucking basically it looked like he just got out of bed. So we brought some blankets down and wrapped him up in some blankets, and then made like a makeshift what do you call it, like sling? What's that called?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I remember just like the dead weight of like human bodies. It's weird, you know. They say like, oh, I weigh I don't know 60 kilos, but like the human version of 60 kilos, I want to say is very different from like 60 kilos of rocks or something. It's just like it's like heavier somehow, even though it weighs the same.
Mm-hmm.
And just like dragging him up. We didn't. I mean, we tried to carry him, but it's like it's a full-grown adult who's passed out, you know, in the disaster zone. So we're like dragging him up. We kept bonking his head against like rocks and stuff. Got him into a just like a house. I didn't know whose it was, but they had like a heater. And there was like three people in there that seemed to know who this guy was. I don't know who it was. I assumed that he lived in the neighborhood. He definitely lived in the neighborhood. Like you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been there and you wouldn't have been yelling for your mom. Well, actually, no, there's another story that makes me think different. Maybe he didn't live in the neighborhood, but his mom did, and he ran, but he was in his underwear, right? So kind
Yeah.
of a mystery.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
But
um, so yeah, I mean, there's just you know hours and hours of stuff like that that goes on, and so I mean, it gives you a whole lot of perspective, um, and you know, like a certain, for lack of a better word, like impatience, because for I mean that entire because I was there homeless as a like a first line responder for 6 weeks or so,
mm,
um, and there's how do I want to say it? I don't know. Like it's like at the same time, there's a whole lot less democracy, but also a lot. Or solidarity is maybe the word that I'm looking for. There's not much like deliberation on what should we do. It's oh, that's the thing that we need to do. Like we're like that. Okay, we're not going to talk about the benefits and the cost and the benefit of like, well, we could do this or we could do that or we could do this other thing, and like, well, I kind of like this one, but we
so
like that one
is
more.
it like a protocol that you need to follow or what?
Maybe protocol sounds like a little bit in, but it's this weird. I don't know. Just like I'd be willing to bet that in those types of situations, all of us humans kind of like just like everything kind of comes into focus and in some kind of order. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it's easier, but there's straight up there's less bullshit than there normally is in like decision making processes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go get it done and okay, knock that out. Next thing, what do we do? Right. And so that definitely, you know, for better or for worse, probably colors a little bit of my kind of approach to some things in life.
So
Uh,
that was actually my question. Like, did that experience kind of change the way you do things in life, the way
oh yeah,
you think about your career, about the way you lead your life? Like,
absolutely. Like I remember. So the first day, I sort of mentioned this. We ran up this hill. It's just behind my apartment, um, and my landlords, who I was good friends with, the condos, they knew the head priest of Zenninji, so like the Buddhist temple.
mm-hmm.
And that was at the top of the hill, so it was just like, okay, let's go up there. And so like the first day, like one of the most so you don't know really what's going on. You're just kind of like fully experiencing stuff, but without so much like let's say judgment, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, oh, here's this thing that like the wave, Jesus Christ, that thing's huge. That's weird. Sort of like that's the reaction. I distinctly remember thinking like, oh, this is it. That's not bad.
Really?
Well, yeah, because like I didn't know this is how American I am, or at least how like Pennsylvanian I am. Like I come from a landlocked city that never has earthquakes or much less like tsunamis, and so I was aware of like the actual wave as
Mm-hmm.
what is it that famous one and stuff. I wasn't aware of the physics though. It never like occurred to me to think about that. And so usually that water has to come from somewhere, and usually it flows out before it comes back in. right? And
Yeah.
so I remember staring at this empty bay, being like, wait a minute, I thought you said a bunch of water was coming to us, not going away, because
Yeah.
I don't see any water right now. And of course, it all comes flowing back in and
Mm.
stuff. But anyway, so we like ran up um, the hill and overlooking the bay, and then it started snowing. And then at night, like we just got totally wrecked by water. And but across the bay, that was the industrial district where everything had collapsed and all the gas lines had caught on fire. So there's this weird, like, wait, whoa, hold up. We're like, we just got flooded, but now there's an inferno. That doesn't make any sense.
There
Just
was a
like
ton of
juxtap.
water.
Yeah, where'd it go? What happened? I thought it was
Yeah.
all wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just like these strange that you just don't know how to make sense of them. You just experience them, right? It's super in that sense. I would almost call it like pure. The second day is when everything totally hits you. Um, and ugh, that was not. I remember just like, oh no, like what
I
do
mean,
I do?
exactly. Like, honestly, I might be asking some dumb questions, but
Oh please,
please bear with me. How does it feel? Like, you obviously lose everything, right?
yeah.
How do you deal with that? Like the next day, with that, like, okay, my everything is gone now.
Well, and that's where like the upside of this or the silver lining maybe. Well, you've got to go through that pain. That won't not happen. That can't. That has to happen. Of realizing like everything is gone. How much did that cost? How do I get it back? Do I get it back? Where do I go? Do I have a home? What's going on? Um, Literally, like seriously, just like at a Buddhist temple with the clothes that I had. And of course, every morning is like the temple is still conducting their ceremonies. So it's like this, again, very bizarre, like, wait, I'm homeless now in a disaster zone, but here's Buddha doing their thing. And what? So it was confusing. I mean, seriously, like that's probably the best word for it, of like existentially confusing. But I mean, that's because you're still just thinking about you, though, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I know, like, we all live in our own bubbles, right? Like, I know, like,
Yeah,
this is a crisis that we're all probably going through at the moment, but again,
yeah,
I'm mostly worried about me, in even in
right,
this kind of situation, right?
right. And so there's an interesting what like ripple effect maybe. Um, so like basically day zero, the day of, you just kind of disappear, really.
Hmm.
Like I was saying, there's very little judgment. It's just like pure experience, and you don't know how to react or what to do with it. It's just you happen to be there and do your thing. And then the second day, like you kind of come back into yourself, maybe the way to say it, and start thinking, oh my God, like what is the Pavlovian hierarchy of human needs? Like, do I have shelter? Do I have food? Do I have fire? I got to
Yeah.
secure that stuff. And without that, I can't do anything. So that's the first order. I mean, the first thing that you have to do is like, okay, what do I do? First, like, fortunately, like we had, eventually I had to go scavenge and stuff, but for about the first 3 days,
Yeah, you had to go scavenge.
yeah, because there were like 16 or so of us in the temple. What, like four kids? I'm gonna say under five, two younger families, me and my landlords. They were a couple. How many is that? Like 11 or so, and then the family of the temple. And so they had like some rice and a few umeboshi, and like they had a little bit of dried salmon, right? But they didn't have stock. And at that point, I was what, 24, I think. So I was by far like the healthiest and most, you know, strongest, basically, person amongst them. And I'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, so like day two, you just kind of coming back into yourself and figuring out, okay, like how do I get what I need? Not even necessarily like in my hands, but like planning anyway, like understanding, oh, okay, I need water. Is that a thing that's possible right now? Or is that just totally like not a thing that I can do? And so being able to secure that or at least understand where it is. Same thing with like food and all this other stuff. And then day three, I totally remember. This is like the most Buddhist thing ever. I remember standing on that hilltop and like looking over, the wreckage and stuff, and had more or less at that point, like I had coats, I had the people that I was with in the temple. We had a little bit of food. We definitely had we had enough water for the short term. We had fire, we had blankets. So like I was kind of okay, right? Not great by any means, but like those core needs were, at least for me, like sufficiently met that then you started exploring. I mean, at that point, again, we were still just like on top of this hill. I wish there was a word for something between a hill and a mountain, because hill doesn't sound as big as
That place.
that place.
Yeah.
But for the first 3 days, we just stayed there. We kind of survey and see what we could see, which obviously wasn't everything, but we didn't know, okay, wait, how bad is it? And so then I started kind of exploring, and there were a bunch of things that happened then. But basically, we were stuck. There was so much debris, right? Just what garbage, debris, rubble. Just from it, we were like trapped. It was just like a wall of trash, right? And so that was pretty much insurmountable. And that's when I went. So basically, like the route that you would take, which is the most obvious one and kind of the first one that, oh, okay, I'll go over there because I know it works. Does it work now? That didn't work. And distinctly, this is maybe like a pretty harsh thing to say. There was like there's a strange combination of scents in the air. And so it's like dead things, some of which may or may not be human.
Yeah.
So that was disgusting. So that didn't work though. Like I couldn't get out. We were stuck. So then I go back up, feeling relatively defeated, actually. But remember being like, all right, hold up though. Like we're like we need food. Like, gotta find that. And being like, all right,
the right time to be depressed.
Yeah. And so I was just like, all right, I think I can climb further up, basically into the woods, no paths or anything, but just like trailblaze. Mm-hmm. Because I knew where the like the national highway kind of came through. It was nearby. And so I kind of figured, well, wait, I can't go that like the normal route, but if I go up and I cut down, there's that other road, which is a bigger road that maybe, and I know it connects. So like maybe that'll work. And it did. So that was, well, it did in the sense that I was now able to like, or maybe I was just like, what, screw it, just go. Because we, like I was saying, we were like walled in with this rubble. But I mean, even, I swear, like the just like muck and mud and, just all the sea floor that had been washed up was like up to my waist. There was totally this house. It was like the Wizard of Oz. We're like, wait a minute. Like, why is there the second floor of a house right in the middle of the road? What are you doing there? Had to climb over that. Normally it was like a 40-minute walk or so in town. I want to say it took me like 3 or so hours. Can't remember exactly what time I got there, but the first thing is like, oh wait, there's that Lawson nearby. I bet they have food. But there's a line of people.
Yeah, you probably can't get there.
It was super orderly. I really remember. I mean, this is another thing too that like really affects, I think, in a positive way, like my approach to business and relationships and just like organization, maybe management, is like keep your cool. Really try to keep your cool, but without being like robotic about it, maybe. But yeah, so I got to the Lawson. I was a teacher at the time, so two of my students were there. I don't know if you confirmed the 39-meter tsunami thing, but that on 3/11, I was supposed to be like right in front of where that 39-meter tsunami hit at the, I won't mention names, but the high school that was there.
Hmm.
And so I got to Lawson, two of my students from there were in the line. I was like, oh God, okay, great, you're alive. What's that area like? Like, how's it going? What's up, dude? I distinctly remember them just saying like "Mo Nai," right? Like there's nothing, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how does a village disappear? What do you mean? And they just said, yeah, it's not there. And then like 2 weeks later, the first news crew that got in, I actually have a video of this if you're curious about it. They were from, what was it? I should remember the name. It's an Irish. Somehow the Irish got there first. And made their way down, and they took me to that area. And I remember seeing it, and just like there was a single, again, a Lawson sign. It was like the only thing standing. Everything else had just been wiped clean, and it was snowing too, so it was just like this blanket
Wow.
of flat whiteness sort of stuff. But Lawson didn't have any food. I'd spent all this time hiking, climbing, navigating, try to get food, but no food. So guess I'm out of luck. And it was like 5 p.m. It was getting dark, and another what's it called? Aftershock siren sounded. And I'm looking at like the sun setting and the earth shaking and the mud and thinking, oh my God, I've got to go back through that tonight. This isn't going to be good. And then my friends, I guess I'll just keep names out of it, not the, but
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
figure it out. But I was just about to like just start on the road back, just like, all right, sorry guys, I didn't find anything. And I hear my friends like yelling at me, like, oh my God, you're alive, like get over here. And so that's from the third day on is when I started staying at their place and running. I mean, doing everything, kind of like I do now, doing everything. That's shoveling muck, emptying houses, delivering food, finding food, being like doing translation stuff on the ground. What else? I mean, anything that you can imagine that needs to be done in a disaster zone, I've done it. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that like there's that.
Yeah, so all I could think of when you were talking about this, when you were explaining when you were basically mentioning the list of events and the things that you had to do is that maybe that also shaped your career right now,
Yeah, I
because
very
like you
much
said,
think
like
so.
you did everything, and that must have at least, I don't know, gained you the skills that you need to move in this direction that you're in right now. Do you think
Yeah,
that is the case?
well, and too, I mean, there's so many weird things that happened with that event. So like one of them, and this is a number of weeks later, the one of these hardcore punk guys from Sapporo showed up with burgers and grills, and we're just
This is
like
cool.
grilling burgers for the homeless people in the tsunami zone.
That's nice. That's nice. That's actually quite sick. Actually,
Well,
that's really
it's really
cool.
good, but it's also, guys, you're from Sapporo. How the hell did you get here? Everything was broken. There's no trains, there's no cars, there's no buses, there's no airplanes. You're a bunch of punk rock guys. Like you're not going to
How
be.
did they get there?
I don't know. I still don't know. It's just one of the mysteries of the thing. Later
Mm.
on, they formed something called Tohoku Daibals Daisaksen, which honestly speaking, I think I didn't recognize it first, but it was probably subconsciously pretty instrumental in me being interested in Akiya, because what they did is basically after you get food and shelter and stuff, people stop looking at you as like really having a bad time. They're like, oh well, you can eat, they're fine, sort of stuff. But I mean, those that second level of stuff is like human congregation and like having fun together and relaxing and having space and like environments to do that
Mm.
in. And so what Tohoku House Daisakusen, they discovered it was in Miyako, Ishinomaki, and Ofinato. They found basically buildings that had been hit but were still like structurally sound. They just
Mhm.
needed, much like an Akia, they just needed, fixing up and
Mhm.
stuff. But they use those to create music venues, right? And so
Mm.
today it's Counteraction in Miyako, it's Freaks down in Ofinato, and it's Blue Resistance in Ishinomaki. I've seen a lot of bands there and stuff. But that to me, okay, like you're repurposing property that most people are looking at and saying, oh, you know what, just that's useless, get rid of it. And they made a community space out of it. And so I think actually a number of years after I started working with Akio, I
Mm.
kind of recognized like, oh, wait a minute. Like a number of years ago, that was probably the first instance that I had seen or known about anyway of, again, like repurposing otherwise, unusable real estate assets for
Mhm.
some alternative purpose. Like it might not be good as a house anymore, but maybe you can throw some
But you can
amps
use
in
it for
there.
something else, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, man, you very interesting story, honestly. Like I don't know, I don't know what to say, but I did not expect our conversation to go this way. To be honest,
No,
this is
what were you expecting? I'm curious.
I don't know, a little bit like because all I know is your LinkedIn page, right?
Yeah.
And there I read the economics and the blockchain, cryptocurrency,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, maybe we're gonna be like some crypto bros today. That's the conversation it's gonna be about. That was not it. But this is honestly like much more interesting, let's say.
It's a
Uh,
good. I feel like I don't want to be self-congratulating, and of course, it's a very sensitive topic for like the
yeah.
other folks who I went through this with. But
Mm.
like, it is. Um, it's an important story, I think, not just for myself and not just for the folks who are also there, but the um, like the humanity that I was able to see and participate in, like bar none, no contest. That was the tip top of humanity that I've seen. It is amazing. The stuff that you can do when you literally have nothing and just like each other and like, okay, band together, let's do this.
And put things into perspective, right?
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
what really matters at that moment. Like we're always, I don't know, like life kind of drowns you with all the, sorry for my language, with all the bullshit, right? Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when it really comes to it, like you said, like if you have food, if you have a place to sleep, that's what
Yeah.
really matters, right? Everything else is manageable.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember I just got like distracted or whatever. But so on that third day, I remember looking over this stuff and thinking, you know what? I was just worried about my suits and my guitars and my computers and my bike and, all that stuff that just got washed away. But like, I don't know. I'm standing up here and like, do I need that? Is that like actually important? Or is just like doing stuff? Like working with people and communicating and for lack of a better phrase, I paused because I thought this was too much, but like doing good, right? If that's, if you've got that capability and you've got that mission, you don't need, your computer set up and, all of the luxuries and, kind of accoutrements or, like side items. Not that they're bad to have, but you kind of like what you were saying, you kind of drown in, I don't want to call it accumulation necessarily, but in stuff, really,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to get distracted. And so a question that perennially is not stuck in my mind, but like I ask myself a lot is like, why do we need a disaster to access that part of ourselves? Like, wouldn't it be groovy if we could just be kick ass all the time and didn't need?
Yeah. Problem is humans were not like that. Like I don't know that there
Yeah.
was the song I forgot what's their name, like it's You only miss the rain. You only miss the sun when it starts to snow or something like that. Do you remember?
That
It's
sounds like
like
a lyric.
it's kind of like
So
that. You only you let her go. Do you remember that song? Let her go.
maybe.
And you let her go. Oh shit!
Is
Let
that a
me remember.
Sting song? Like love
No,
if
no,
you
no.
love
It's
somebody, set
actually a
them free.
pop song. It's a pop song, and it's very
Okay.
mellow. And it's you only knew you love her after you let her go, something like that.
You
And then
only
it's
it's on the tip of my tongue. I know the one you're
man,
talking
wait
about.
up, like I have it. It's like it's
You don't know what you got until it's gone. Is that it?
basically
Is that the one?
that's the whole idea. That's the whole
Yeah,
idea of the whole song, right?
yeah.
And whether it's relationships or whether it's
Mm,
things that you have in life, and you don't
mm.
appreciate the little things until you lose them, and then you're just like, I had this, why why didn't
Yeah,
I
I
realize it
remember
earlier?
that. So here's a story I've never told.
Yeah.
Because it feels so minor to me,
Mhm.
and like I was actually too proud or something. So there was again probably like 2 weeks after this. I don't know how they got it, but it was like a dump truck had scooped up all this like tuna in a can, like consomme, just like
Mhm.
canned fish.
Yeah.
There must have been thousands of these, just like in a pile.
Okay.
And I remember somebody being like, "Oh, dude, like you gotta grab some." Maybe I was feeling irritable, or like it's a disaster zone, so like emotions are kind of all over the place. Or I had
Mm.
just eaten and I wasn't thinking about the future or whatever. He was
Mm.
like, "Oh, dude, this is some really good canned fish."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Nah, bro, I'm good. Like, I don't need some right now. Thank you, though."
Mhm.
And after the fact, though, like even to this day, I think about that canned fish that I didn't. I was like too proud or too full or something to take. And then, I
Mm.
mean, here's a guy who's being like, "Yo, dude, I got some food. I will share with you." And I said no, which is not like I regret that. I don't. I don't like that. I should have taken it. I should have said yes.
I don't know. Well, you were too proud to take it. Is that what you're saying? You just didn't want
I
to
can't. I
take
can't remember
something that
why.
was
I
there.
I can't remember why, or like I didn't like canned fish. There was like I didn't take it. I can't
Uh huh.
actually remember like what, but I remember after that feeling like, oh shit, I should have. Like, why did I do that? That was dumb. Like, be more
You could
considerate.
have just went back and took it,
Yeah, but
or the moment was
I probably
gone.
made up some. I probably made some other excuse to not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But it's again, like these experiences, like life is, and it's more than just career, right? Like it's all the experiences that we've gone through, and it's I don't know, like I see that this had affected you like quite a lot, I think, from
Yeah, and
the story that you're talking, that you've
I
been
think
saying.
I think in a way it allows me to differentiate between, at least from a business point of view,
Hmm.
the what I see as the creation of value and the trading of value, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what I think happens quite a bit is there's a relatively finite, I don't know what the number is, of resources around that are just constantly in circulation. Like on one day of the week, you've got 3% of them, and I've got five, and then you want something, so I give you 2%. Now you've got five, and I have three. But we haven't really grown the pie, right? It's just now now both of us own a different percent of whatever the asset or resource that we're talking. But there's no like
Mm-hmm.
new amount of said asset or resource. It's just trading of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And the creation of value, which especially in the tsunami circumstances, were like a lot of thinking on your feet. And if you didn't, then you'd be dead. So combine those things over there that nobody was really paying attention to and use it in order to achieve this goal that otherwise is going to have an adversely negative effect on you and yours. And so there's not that one or the other is better than one or the other, but I think it's easy to maybe conflate the two, or only look at one and not the other. Maybe it's only value creation. Maybe it's only value trading. But being able to understand like the different, I guess, modes of interacting with value. Is that how I want to say it? Or at least the different modes of value, really. It's not even about interaction. It's just like how do we as humans, participate in that? I think is important, or at least for me, that like very much influences kind of my mindset and how I think about, again, value, or I'm sorry, if it's business activities, relationships, like kind of whatever. And I guess that brings us back to like philosophy and thinking about really what does matter in this life.
Recently, I've been into Stoicism.
Okay, yeah,
And
that's a good one.
It's I don't know, like it's this modern life that we're living just sucks, to be honest.
All right, let me ask you a question. How do you go? Do you go hiking or mountain climbing or scuba diving or surfing or camping?
Hiking, but not so often. I go out taking pictures. I just walk and just take pictures in the street.
All right, what about like farming? I guess
no.
All right, yeah. So I know exactly what you're saying, and a lot of people have the same sentiment, and it's really weird because I mean, kind of by what definition, I guess, especially with the Akias. I mean, I deal with a lot of rural Japan in my business, so I know it pretty well. I get out there often enough, but it's really hard for like your average person be like, you know what, I'm going to take the weekend and go do that. And I think a big part of this actually comes back to the data stuff that I was talking about, like the camping thing in particular, is there's a lot of folks, I want to presume kind of like yourself, who would be very interested in be it farming, camping, surfing, scuba diving, like whatever. Get me out of the city and give me some nature.
Yes.
But where do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? Who do I ask about it? Is this one good or is that one good? Like, it's a lot of poorly organized information that really doesn't empower consumers to like find the thing that they want. It's kind of, honestly, it's kind of like being at a tsunami hit supermarket of like, is there a lot of food there? Yes. Do I have any idea how to find it? No.
Probably no, everything is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And when that happens, you just can't, you don't easily engage with it. And if it's not easy to do that, then you're just going to stay, I'm in Meguro, for example, right? And just like, all right, you know what? Like I spent an hour trying to find something that I wanted to do, but like it was really bad web design and they didn't take credit card and, whatever the problem is, it reduces the likelihood that your average consumer is going to do something. And so if you want to go on an adventure in nature, let's talk, because I got those things too.
I mean, first things first, I'm gonna attend your concert or like the band, like definitely, like just when we're done with this, like let's exchange line or something. So
yeah. We just finished a new song too, so you'll be one of the first to hear it live.
Cool. When do you start to do the show? Like, what time does the show start?
It'll probably start at 6. Usually, like very often, at least Japanese like rock or metal concerts will be 6 to 10 p.m.
Okay, so still enough time for me to go home. That's all I care about.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. You won't miss. It's not an all night thing.
Okay, just two more questions just to wrap things up about the whole podcast thing.
Sure.
I mean, you kind of answered this. If someone, what question should people ask themselves before choosing your career or like your career path? Just don't go into philosophy. Like maybe that's number one.
Maybe like 90% yes. 90%. I think the only thing about it, but you're talking about career specifically, right?
Yes.
Then do not touch philosophy. as much as I love it, and I'm still like a fan and read up on all this stuff and whatnot, like a career again is either meant to make value or trade value. And philosophy doesn't, honestly, I feel like a lot of the time philosophy tries to wipe its hands of that. Like it doesn't want to get involved with that kind of part, that side of like the human experience,
Hmm.
unless you're talking about, like economics, which comes from philosophy, right? So yeah, study economics.
Yeah, economics makes a lot more sense to be honest.
That's what you should do.
Yeah. Well, last question. Like, finish this sentence. In my career, no one tells you that.
Um,
Or like in my career,
in
I
my in
wish
my
I wish
career,
I knew something like.
in my career, nobody tells you that they understand what it is you're doing.
Yeah, that does. I think it took me around 20 minutes to understand understand what exactly that you did. And I'm not sure I really know that, but I think I have a better understanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, Matt. Like, definitely an interesting journey. I think there are,
Yeah.
from what I understood today, is that you have like maybe probably like 3 stages of your life: the philosophy,
Mm,
and then the moving to Japan, and the tsunami hit, and the whole this kind of change of perspective that you had, and
mm.
then the move to Tokyo, and this is like probably this is the where you are, the problem solving
Yeah.
ability that you have,
Hmm.
probably
Hmm.
something that was affected by the crisis, the tsunami crisis.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
if you
so.
probably you had it from before, probably, but maybe that kind of turned it on
Yeah, kind
and
of activated it.
yeah, activated it, and then this is what you do basically. Basically, right now you find solutions for people.
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually I have had people say, "No, dude, you're a fixer.
yeah,
That's what you do. You got a problem? All right, great. I got a solution right over here."
we're gonna fix that.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Matt. Like this has been great.
yeah, likewise.
I'm going to see you at the concert probably.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Peace.
All right. Have a good one.